All right, I would like to invite Percy Sales Creative Director and Principal Planner at Percy Sales Events.
Good afternoon, how is everyone today? You got a good lunch? Good. I'm Percy Salas with Percy Salas Events, and I am a destination wedding planner based out of Santa Barbara, California. Trying to see if my slides are working here. So today my topic is on powerful collaborations in destination weddings during COVID. For me, collaborations is one of the biggest things that has helped shift my business and myself, because I believe without collaborations, you are nothing. The people who have helped me through this organization, through this process, has really shifted who I am as a person. I have to give a big thank you to Kitsia Morales, because 10 years ago, I attended my first IADWP in Iurasia, which was my first forage to really creating powerful collaborations. So I want to ask you all, do you remember how you created powerful collaborations before COVID-19? For me, I always sought out people who work like me, people who are laid back. I'm laid back, I'm not very type A at all. I am very detailed, and I also look for detailed people, but I also want to work with people who are not high maintenance. And I found that the foundation of the people I met were through these four things. Live networking events like this, fam trips like we're going to be doing in Cappadocia and Antalya, in-person one-on-one calls, and even cold calls and emails. I found that these four things really help shift and make us meet the people who needs to be in our lives and in our businesses at that time. So pre-COVID-19, I found that this was the foundations of my meetings. So how did I build my teams before COVID-19? I built my teams based on my clients' needs, their demeanor and their budget, but I also tapped into the four foundations that I did. Working with vendors who were local, vendors who gave back to the community, but also vendors who I had a connection with that I met through live events and fam trips and one-on-one meetings. So through this, I created my collaborative teams based on connection, trust, work ethics, expertise to the project, and value to the client and the guests. And these created powerful collaborations for me. Pre-COVID, these created lifelong and powerful collaborations. And it's the same people I seek out today. But COVID-19 also gave me new opportunities to build other collaborations worldwide. In November 2019, I was in Lake Maggiore, Italy, at a fam trip. And there was talk about COVID-19 and what it was. And people were saying it's just a hefty version of a flu. And, probably a flu shot was going to eradicate it, and everything will be okay for 2021. Ironically enough, everyone that went to that conference got sick after we got home. And we were all sick for 3 weeks. We didn't know if it was COVID or not because there was no COVID test at that time. So we took it as we just have a real bad flu. But came March 2020, where were you when the world shut down and live events shut down? It was something new to us. We were all expecting an epic and lucrative wedding season, and all of a sudden, our countries, our cities shut us down. We all had to shift and adjust, and as one by one, we went into some sort of lockdown and restrictions, and we didn't know what to do anymore as live event professionals. This was our world. This was our world for the next 6 months. Postponements, closures, vacations canceled events. Everything that we were not expecting in 2021 was this, and this was our life. Life events halted, and the world went down in a pandemic. And our businesses shut down, and we had to deal with the aftermath of what the reality was right now. No longer were we planning events. What we were doing with our collaborative partners was trying to figure out how we were going to provide refunds to our clients, how we were going to postpone our clients and shift our clients to future years. We trusted our collaborative partners at that time to kind of guide us through what this pandemic was shifting, because no one else is. Live events became the unknown or the forgotten industry. Everyone during the pandemic, or the early start of the pandemic, was getting help. People were advising them on what they can do and what they shouldn't do. But the live event in the travel industry, we had no one backing us up. All they told us is, we can't have live events, we can't travel anymore, and what do? So we turned to our partners and to our collaborators to seek help and to kind of guide us through what we needed to do in this next section. We all went into devastation and panic, or some sort of self-reflection and evaluation. I mean, we all went through this whole process. I'm sure some of you went through grocery stores buying toilet papers or waters and stocking up. And some of us really looked in and see what we could do as a person and with our businesses. As planners and as travel industries, we all grew in one way or another. We had to shift. And we had to shift because no one was telling us what to do. So we took time to refresh. A lot of us took self-improvement and we rediscovered hobbies that we wanted. Hotels and venues remodeled and updated what they were offering, making sure that once they reopened, everything was safe for guests. Airlines and other transportations created ways for guests and our clients to travel safely again, even though we were still closed. Small businesses shifted their models just to survive. Caterers became take-home food places. Florists became home delivery services. Even rental companies, what they started to do was work with medical teams to provide outlets for testing and for vaccination. They shifted to those models. And other people decided to move out of the industry for one reason or another. And that was a choice that they made in their time of refresh. So what do we do now to create powerful collaborations in the times of COVID? I think it's shifted. I think a lot of things remain the same. During the pandemic, we took stock about the people we were seeing virtually online because that's all we had. We saw our friends become teachers. We saw our friends go on hikes and discover nature. Our friends started social media outlets so they could, and became social media darlings through their live posts or their TikTok posts. And many of our friends became bakers. How many of us baked bread during the pandemic just to do something, right? We all shifted in one way or the other. But during this time, we started realizing that the business people that we were working with also has a human side, which we never took stock before. So this led to the boom of Zoom. We saw everything come on Zoom and virtual events. We saw virtual parties. We saw virtual live networking meetings where we sat for hours behind our home screen to talk to each other and to connect. We saw virtual weddings, and everything just became virtual. But again, through this whole virtual experience, what we started to notice was people we wouldn't have noticed otherwise. We started noticing the smaller people who may not have the means to come to conferences like this on Zoom. And we started noticing what they offer or what they can offer us. And through Zooms, we started seeing partnerships. We started seeing collaborators. People started partnering and started doing TV shows virtually. People started doing webinar talk shows and showcasing vendors and other planners, through Zooms, through interviews. And like me and my friend Veronica, we started a weekly talk show that we just did on Facebook Live, just to talk about our frustrations and the realities that we were dealing with today. But I want to talk about Clubhouse, and I don't know if a lot of you know what Clubhouse is, but Clubhouse was a social media that has no pictures. You only get the person's picture. So you really have to rely on people's voices. And what I discovered on Clubhouse was people who were afraid to talk in person finally found their voice. And you really heard from people who you would have never heard from and really learned from them. So Clubhouse became revolutionary for me Clubhouse became revolutionary to me because it really led me into people's vulnerabilities and fears, and I heard a lot of their expertise through shared information and what they were sharing. So it was the power of the voice that became revolutionary for me. So when we are creating powerful collaborations now, it's in a different virtual mode, right? For the last year, we relied virtually. We started creating powerful collaborations through these outlets. And I, for one, have created partnerships and friendships with people around the world through these social outlets. We discovered a wonderful world full of people we may not have met. We discovered who were a lot like us. We discovered people who thought like us. And through these shared experiences and fears of trauma, we became each other's support system. And that started a whole new access to collaborations and vendor protocols. So we learned how to create powerful collaborations innovatively. We started talking about partnerships with the people we met virtually. We started talking about future projects, working with people who may not have access to certain individuals, which created a large web. And it became a new approach in the way we did business and the way we partnered with people. So I shifted my thought. Now for me, when I create powerful collaborations or when I think about powerful partnerships, I think about who I can meet virtually and on social media first. Because through virtual and social media, what I found was there's a human side to people, just not the business side. And that's what attracted me to them. The shared experiences that we have going through COVID and the shared experiences that we go through now is really important in making sure where we move in the future. And being vulnerable. People don't realize that just because we're business professionals, we have a vulnerable side to us too, because we don't know everything. So we need collaborators and partners who we could talk about those challenges with. And I really respect through the whole virtual and social media piece through COVID is seeing people who created opportunities and spaces for others. These are people who opened up interviews to people who we may not have met otherwise. And creating those spaces for others really helped expose new people to us. And then the empathetic approach. Like I said, it's the human side, right? But we also know that we're coming out of a pandemic that has really shifted and changed our lives in so many different ways. And then seeing the human side, which is the important part before the business side now. And that's how I'm creating powerful collaborations post-COVID. So these collaborations and how I'm creating my teams now is based on shared experiences, trust and transparency, work ethics and vulnerability, because I think you need to be vulnerable in the way we work now. Expertise to the project is always top of the line, but being able to be flexible. You know, knowing what you can do and being capable and what you're capable of doing, but also talking about it in a transparent way is a way I think we're going to work together. Innovative approaches. We've learned about innovative approaches. We've learned how we could still do our business through Zoom or through virtual events, but how do we move forward outside of that complex now? Today we're all here sitting down. You know, what are we going to take away from this experience that's going to make us innovative? And ultimately, what's the value to the client and what's the value to the client's guests? So what's important to me in the new approach is these 6 things. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk about your fears and stuff with your collaborative partners because they are the ones that's going to support you through this whole thing. Be transparent. If there's something that you can't do or you can't produce, I think it's more important to be transparent about it right now and tell your partners what it is, because I think that's going to help. Be innovative, always be innovative, because we're always elevating our events. It's okay to say no. I know a lot of us want the money and want the business, but sometimes the business is not right, and I think what COVID taught us, it's okay to say no and we're going to be okay. You know, take the projects that you want to take, because that's going to shift and produce who you are moving forward. And it's okay not to know. We don't know what's going to happen day to day with COVID or what's going to happen after this pandemic. Every country that we go to right now is so different. Everything is changing. You know, even coming to Turkey, you know, having your COVID cards and your vaccine cards and traveling in a new way is so different. But we relied on people on the other side to help us through that. So it's okay not to know as long as you have those partners and those collaborators who can help you know. And it's okay to present the real you. Like I said, what's important to me now is learning about you and learning about your human side. And I guarantee you, if you're authentic, people will see through that and you will rise to the top of their list because they want to work with people who's going to be more like them and really be vulnerable. So where do we go from here? So I'm putting my stock on those willing to go through the journey with me and willing to just go through this whole thing, even though we don't know what's going on. You know, I want to go with people who aren't afraid to share their information about their countries and the difficulties that they're facing within their countries. I want to be able to ultimately work with people in new collaborations who are real, who provide unsugar-coated information to their clients and to their vendor partners and collaborators, because this transparency is only going to help make the best decisions and partnerships in the future. So powerful collaborations for me right now is seeing the human side again, but also access, knowledge, and truth and transparency. Striving for this during these times will only make our partnership stronger. Thank you.